Alright, next in our lesson is lesson 5.2, which is on page 32 in your workbook. On these two pages, 32 and 33, we're going to look at base and height of parallelograms. You'll notice that the first page, on page 32, asks us to look at some examples and some non-examples of bases and heights. Take a minute and look at the two differences. Why are these examples and why are these non-examples? Press pause and write down some ideas. When you're ready, press play. Some things you may have noticed is that both sets of diagrams show the same two pairs of parallelograms and the same sides labeled as base. So this parallelogram is the same as this parallelogram, and this is a base, and this is a base. So for each example, they match. Another thing you might have noticed is that all of the examples show this right angle, a dashed segment, and a side that says base. Only one of the non-examples shows a right angle mark, but all of them show a dotted line. In both the examples and the non-examples, there is one parallelogram with a dashed segment and a right angle shown outside of it, here and here. If the dashed segments are used to cut the first three parallelograms in the examples, the cutout pieces could be rearranged to form a rectangle. The same cannot be done for this one with a dashed segment on the outside. If you look at this example, if I were to cut it here, I could slide this over to make it a rectangle. If I cut this here, I could slide this over to make it a rectangle. If I cut this here, I could slide this down to make it a rectangle. That's true for each of my base and heights in my examples. You may start to wonder, why are some of the dashed segments inside the parallelogram and some of them outside? You might wonder, what's the rule for the dashed segment to be considered the height? And you might wonder what the base and the height has to do with the area. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the bottom of page 32. It asks us to select all the statements that are true about bases and heights in a parallelogram. Please press pause, go through each example, and say true or false. When you're ready, press play. The three true statements are B, D, and F. Those statements are true. A is false. Why is A false? Because any side can be a base. C is false. Why is C false? Because a height has to be drawn at a 90-degree angle. It can't be drawn at any angle. E is false. The height can only be drawn inside the parallelogram is false. It can also be drawn outside the parallelogram, as in this example here. G is false. A base can be extended to be able to find the height, as long as we go from base to its opposite side. The next question says 5 students labeled the base B and the corresponding height H for each parallelogram. Are all drawings correctly labeled? Explain how you know. Please press pause, and for each question, say yes or no, and if you have room, write why. When you are finished, hit play. Figure A is drawn correctly. How do I know this? For a couple of reasons. The base meets the height at a 90-degree angle. If I were to cut this height, I could slide it down and I would be able to make a rectangle. B is false. How do I know this? The base does meet the height, but there's no 90-degree angle mark, meaning it is not a straight line from the base. It would have to go from this base, extended, and up to the height of the opposite base. C is true. The base has been extended to meet the height at a 90-degree angle. D is true. The base meets the height at a 90-degree angle at its opposite side. E is false. B does not meet H at a 90-degree angle. This is a slanted line. Remember the conversation we had about going to the doctor's office. You would never ask how tall you are unless you are standing up straight. So our height should be a 90-degree angle from the base up to its opposite side. A reminder that you can do the Ready for Mores for rocket cars. This one allows you to do it on the computer to help. You are welcome to figure out how to do it and then come and show Mrs. Green with your computer. You may stop your video now and start to look at lesson 5.3.